You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the USS Orville. Welcome to another episode of Mission Log the Orville. This week, Electric Sheep, the one where the Orville gets all the upgrades and Isaac overloads his central processor. We'll discuss the meanings, morals, and messages to see if this episode aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. My name is Mike Richards.
And I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi. Welcome back, Mike. This is Season 3 of The Orville. Mission Log The Orville is a conversation that depends on your participation. Share your thoughts, ideas, and please tell us what we missed at ML_The Orville on Twitter.
It's a mouthful.
It's branding. Mission Log Pod on Facebook, or you can email us at missionlog-theorville@roddenberry.com. If you're watching this on the Roddenberry YouTube channel, please hit like and subscribe, and remember, we may use your comments on an upcoming episode. And now, thankfully, here's Mike with the full recap of Season 3, Episode 1, Electric Sheep.
And this was a short episode, from what I understand.
Of this season. Not the shortest Orville up to this point, but for this season.
Correct. Going forward.
Woo!
Prologue. Electric Sheep, in memory of Norm MacDonald. Marcus Finn is experiencing a recurring nightmare, reliving the Battle of Earth against the Kaylon, which culminates in a ghastly vision of Isaac, causing Marcus to wake up in terror. Isaac, booted out of engineering by Lamar, joins some of the crew in the mess hall, or at least he tries to. Left alone, he is rejoined by Ensign Charlie Burke. She's lost a good friend when the Kaylon destroyed the USS Quimby. She wishes Isaac could feel pain because he deserves to feel all the pain in the universe. Oh, and he should stay out of the mess hall too, because he makes people sick. Returning to the lab, Isaac sees the word murderer painted on the wall, as we see new and improved opening credits. Act 1. Tala calls Ed and Kelly to the lab to discuss the vandalism and the conversation she witnessed in the mess hall. Confronting Charlie in his office, the young ensign is hurt and angry and also scared, and she thinks most of the crew feel the same way. Ed shares his concerns with Charlie, and she's dismissed. In the hangar bay, Gordon Malloy arrives in the Pterodon, a sleek new fighter. Greeted by Charlie, Gordon confides that he's leery of Isaac as well. He's trying to get over it, but she encourages him not to. Well, it's shakedown time. It's time for Gordon to take the Pterodon out for a proper shakedown. He quickly fights off 4 drones piloted by Charlie Burke, who can visualize 4-dimensional geometry. The specs are pristine, it handles like a charm, and the Pterodon is officially a member of the crew. In the lab, the security team was able to determine who replicated the paint, and it wasn't Abby Brown, it was Marcus Finn. Act 2. In Ed's office, Marcus is defending his action. He's scared, so are other people, and he's having nightmares. If Isaac stays, he wants off the ship. Later, Claire invites Isaac to their quarters to put Marcus at ease, but Marcus says he wishes Isaac were dead. On his way back to the lab, Isaac stops to look out at space. Perhaps he's looking for home. Back in the lab, he narrates a list of ways to improve efficiency and finishes by offering his best wishes for the Finn family. With that, Isaac overloads his central processor and shuts down. Claire concludes that he committed suicide as Yaphet unsuccessfully attempts to help the crew reflect on how much pain Isaac must have felt. Act 3. Marcus, pretending to be asleep, is interrupted by Claire. She tries to reassure him that Isaac's decision was his own. In the conference room, Claire explains to Kelly that she has banished her thoughts of Isaac for so long that now, when she needs to feel something, she cannot. Kelly suggests that Claire should revisit her memories of him. At Isaac's memorial, Ed eulogizes their fallen crewmate, saying that he was as passionate or as stoic as we willed him to be. We'll all remember him differently. We'll all grieve differently, and there's no wrong way to say goodbye. Entering the simulator, Claire finds Ty talking to Isaac. She explains that while comforting, it isn't real. It will get in the way of healing. Visiting Isaac's simulation of her favorite restaurant, Claire is overwhelmed by grief as she sits at the table where they had their first date. Act 4. The upgrades are complete, and it's time to engage quantum drive as John and a Dukelian lady engage their own quantum drive. After, we'll say, disengagement, the conversation quickly turns to Isaac and whether it's wrong for one to take their own life. On her planet, it's seen as a personal decision. John disagrees. She explains that the memory of others commands the highest respect. Not even death can touch that. You see, they're not really dead, as long as we remember them. Triggering an idea, John removes a chip from Isaac which contains a backup consciousness. It's being held in a stasis field, but if they're going to try to revive Isaac, it'll have to be soon. And a computer can't do it. It'll have to be done by someone who can visualize multiple dimensions, i.e., Charlie. Act 5. If it wasn't the captain asking, Charlie would think this is a sick joke. She refuses to help. Appealing to her integrity as a Union officer, Ed pleads with her to help. She refuses, pleading with her to be better than the Kaylon, to show the galaxy that humans are different, that we value life even when our enemies don't. She refuses. Finally, Ed tells her that she doesn't have a monopoly on grief, that everybody lost somebody to the Kaylon. She's interrupted by a Kaylon attack. On the bridge, Ed orders Gordon to hang a right and head for the Phi Core system. Hiding in the atmosphere, the Orville detonates a shuttle filled with 26 torpedoes, tricking the Kaylon into thinking the Orville has been destroyed. As the bad robots bug out and head for home, Ed orders Charlie to report to engineering and assist Lamar. She refuses. Relieved of duty, Charlie is joined by Marcus, who pleads with her to help Isaac. He believes that he's the reason that Isaac killed himself. She explains that it wasn't his fault and that he shouldn't be burdened with the guilt. She agrees to help. Act 6. Channeling her inner Kevin Flynn, Charlie is able to repair Isaac, but she didn't do it for him. Later, with Claire, Isaac explains that he is functioning within standard parameters. When asked why he did it, he said that he noticed a drop-off in efficiency of the crew since the Kaylon attack. This was an attempt to restore maximum operating output on board the Orville. There is no reason to believe that will change. Claire convinces Isaac that he did not take into account that things may change, that things may get better, that people who take their own lives are unable to distinguish the future from the present, that there is no problem so immense that it cannot be solved in time. Isaac promises that if he ever has these thoughts in the future, he'll go to Claire. Walking into the lab, Marcus is watching Isaac at work. He's not quite ready to talk to Isaac yet. Maybe someday. After all, it's a lot harder to hate somebody up close. The end.
Mike, that was perfect. I felt like I watched it again.
Well, it was hard to shortcut this one with the longer episodes. I did honestly cut out a little bit here and there if it didn't move the story along or if I didn't think it had kind of a direct impact in some things related to our notes. But thank you very much. Very, very touching episode. I think I watched it about 3 or 4 times. Once on IMAX, yo.
Oh.
And you were there. And you. And you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you made a note here too, just as before we get into it, this is a very sensitive topic. So it's fair to say trigger warning to anyone who might feel sensitive or has personal connections to suicide or has ideations. If you are thinking about suicide or need help, there are ways that people can help you, including the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, and just talking to a therapist or a friend. So we will be talking about the conversations brought up in this episode about that. So just keep that in mind if you're one of our listeners.
And because it's the Orville and because it's mission log, the Orville, we're going to have some lighter observations about the episode.
Absolutely.
It does not mean we're taking light or making light of the subject. And we'll get to more and more of that later on as we talk about meanings, morals, messages, and the bigger ideas on the show. But just starting off, episode 1 of the Orville New Horizons, written by Seth MacFarlane, directed by John Cassar. John and Seth will be the only two folks directing episodes during season 3.
So I know it says that John Cassar directed it on the websites, online, but I thought I saw it said that Seth directed it at the IMAX show.
I thought it said that too.
So there might be just wires crossed here, and
Sure.
I think because John Cassar and Seth MacFarlane are such good friends and so closely knit, maybe they worked on the episode together,
Right.
or just but it did say in the credits. Okay, I'm just glad I'm not crazy, because in the credits it did say directed by Seth MacFarlane.
Right, that's the way I remembered it as well. Music by Kevin Koska. Kevin has 12...
I didn't know Kevin Costner did.
Kevin Koska, has 12 episodes as supervising orchestrator up until this point. And if you're listening to this in the far future, it aired on June 2nd, 2022.
It's hopeful of us to think that we'll get to this that date.
The episode title is taken from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, which was the basis for the film Blade Runner. And we love talking about ship names, or at least I do. The USS Quimby, which was Charlie Burke's former ship,
Right.
Likely named after Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, which if that ain't a New England name, I don't know what is.
Oh, that is amazing.
But this guy's, he was from up around New Hampshire, Connecticut, Maine, did some work up there. His work is widely recognized as foundational to the New Thought spiritual movement. And
Wait,
what is New Thought?
What is New Thought?
Well, first of all, it's spelled...
Is it THOT?
THOUGHT.
Oh,
for
okay,
those of you, those of you playing the home game. New Thought is a philosophy which includes, among other things, the idea that the highest spiritual principle is loving one another unconditionally. That's you, Charlie Burke, and teaching and healing one another. That's also you, Charlie Burke.
Hello.
Also, our mental states are carried forward into manifestation, and they become our experience in daily living. So if we think about hate, if we think about not liking other people, if we think about those things, then those thoughts will become our actions, and we will experience them in daily living. This is Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, everybody.
I actually am so excited that this potentially is what the ship is named after. I mean,
If not, it should be.
Well, hello, because you're totally right. It relates 100% to Charlie's mental state and trauma, rightful trauma, around losing a friend and her ship being blown up. But how she's processing it is maybe not in the most healthy way, right?
Well, after our last 4 supplementals, I am convinced that all of this is part of the design process. I mean, it is. I mean, these folks are so deep and so
totally
talented,
right.
and there's nothing that happens by mistake.
The amount of detail, love, excitement, and attention. Yeah, it's just basically everyone that works on the show loves it so much. It wouldn't make sense for that not to be thought out. And now I got to learn more about
out.
THOT out. Phineas Parkhurst Quimby is someone I got to look up, because I personally believe in manifestation and trying to remain positive and welcoming. Like, you create the world you're living in by thinking it into existence. And that's not easy, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like, oh, just do that.
And everybody else is an NPC.
Well, that's not necessarily the truth, but it is like put your oxygen mask on before helping others. Kind of.
True.
But it's also, this is maybe not, it also gives some credence to the thoughts and prayers being a way to solve major problems in this country. It's not. It's basically thoughts are supposed to lead toward actions that will then fundamentally change your life. So just want to clarify that.
Exactly. So the pterodon. A species of
the
large
sexiest
flying reptiles from the game Warhammer.
Oh, it's a Warhammer. Okay, my friend Scott is going to be so excited. I couldn't. So my friend Scott literally thinks about the sexiness of ships. And we saw the pterodon before everyone else, and I had to sit on my hands so badly to not tell Scott about it before they released images of the pterodon. Pterodon is a sexy ship. It
is a sexy beast, and I think that would probably rate on your scale of hottest spaceships.
It's way up there, Mike. Well, because it's not I think we have to change the terms from spaceships. Like, spaceships are like, oh, everyone's on the Orville. This is like a little, like, fighter, right?
Correct.
So, like, it's like the TIE fighters, the X-Wings, the pterodons. I think those need to be its own tier categories. And if you are wondering what I'm talking about, I Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Jessica Nerdy. Me and my friend Scott, we rank things by sexiest, aka most bangable. And sometimes
bangability was the term.
Bangability. And sometimes they are non-sentient objects that we anthropomorphize, and sometimes they're ships. But then you get into the question of, an AI ship, or anyway, there's too much to get into. We have more things to talk about.
From the opening scene, man, though, this production was just taken to a HNL, a whole nother level.
HNL.
And it was just phenomenal, and I was just taken back so much by BJ Tanner, who just owned it from that opening scene, recreating the Battle of Earth, then waking up in a sweat, and just his intensity and believability during his traumatic encounter is basically PTSD experience that he's dealing with was phenomenal work.
It's a lot to ask of a young actor to give that much of themselves, but I wonder also the couple of years that they got to spend in between. He was already such a wonderful actor, but I got to talk to him briefly at the premiere, and I got to talk to Penny as well briefly, and it really is their episode. There's it's a really great introduction to Charlie. It's a really great status quo to see how everyone's feeling about Isaac, because we really glossed over that in the last couple of episodes.
The weight of this episode was on Marcus, BJ Tanner, who's phenomenal. To a lesser extent, Ty Wenner, who was phenomenal as well. Smaller role, but just the acting that young man could do just with his eyes and with facial expressions was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I remember having that conversation with him following the premiere as well. And then we were introduced to Charlie Burke, Ann Winters, Miss New Thought, THOUGHT. Just want to make that clear also.
Listen, you are doing a great job in explaining yourself.
So what'd you think of Ensign Charlie Burke?
I think that I need to see more.
I think she just passed Clyden as most likely to be thrown out of an airlock.
Yeah. The acting is there.
The acting's fine, and I'm sure Ann Winters is a wonderful actor.
And she was given a lot of. She comes in as a anti-hero real quickly.
She does, and that's very much the show we talk about probably as much as Friends or Community on the show is One Tree Hill, and every new female player on that show is always introduced in sort of a villainous kind of, ooh, I really don't like her. And then before you know it, you do.
We are getting a really great, there's a really interesting perspective that someone writes about, or did a YouTube episode about, with Ashoka when she came into the Clone Wars, the animated Clone Wars. That knowing that just by introducing a new character that wasn't in episode 1, 2, or 3 of Star Wars, they were likely going to lose favor from the audience. So the writer specifically made Ahsoka. I didn't watch it, but I watched Ahsoka. They specifically made her unlikable, unruly, didn't listen to authority, got people hurt.
Hey, Sky Guy.
Well, so I don't know what you're saying, but so that we saw her arc, and then when we watched her mature, or when the audience watched her mature, we could grow into understanding her and learning to like her. So
yes, same
they
here.
potentially
Same here,
are
I'm
doing
sure.
the same thing with Charlie here.
I believe
we
that.
can understand what she's going through. She's going about it in an adolescent way. And I think that's probably more to talk about in the serious part of the show. But
yeah, we can talk about that, and please let's remember to come back to that, because it wasn't in my notes, but I would like to talk about those union ideals, those idealistic things that Ed tried to get across to her that she just crossed her arms and said no to. I would like to talk about that more a little bit later.
Yep, there's so much to talk about.
And, I wanted to point the scene with the USS Quimby. Man, that was really well done.
Yeah.
Where it showed Charlie's friend and crew member sacrifice herself. Played by the role of Amanda was played by Amanda Joy Erickson. Not a lot on IMDb about her. A few credits, but I thought she played that part wonderfully.
Yeah.
Just that sincere,
leadership,
brave, sacrificing servant leadership without overdoing it. Just, this is how it has to be.
Right.
I'm okay with it. You go.
Right.
I thought it was a wonderful scene, wonderfully acted by somebody who, sadly, I don't think we'll get to see again on the Orville New Horizons.
Fair. Unless Charlie Burke goes crazy or does, creates a holodeck or, program of her. Who knows?
So how's your Simlish these days?
Parlagdune. Sooner in Kentucky.
As soon as that dude popped up again, which I think he was in an episode or maybe two
He's
previously.
been in a couple, yeah.
Yeah, I thought of you and just started chuckling.
Balarke Binar. It's all cadence with Simlish. There are actual words that mean actual things, but as someone who doesn't even know a lick of Klingon besides Kapla, Banuke Intare is just, you just gotta, it's such a funny character. I was surprised that it didn't get a laugh when we were in the audience, when he dropped the cake into the engine room, that we finally got to see what the finally got to see what the energy was that powers the ship. That
shot of the quantum drive was so cool. But we got everybody back. We got him back. We got Ensign Turco back. One scene of Lieutenant Dan, and Ensign Turco is no longer just vaping in Lamar's office. She is a full on, fully to be taken seriously up and coming engineer. So good for Jenny Turco.
Yeah, I like that too, especially because we learned quickly that John Lamar is not sleeping with her anymore, or at least monogamously sleeping.
At least
with
at
her.
that moment in time.
Correct.
Not until his hips heal, anyway.
Her only purpose is not to be something pretty for him, and I think that that's a really good sign of, taking. Maybe hey, let's see more strong female characters that aren't here just for men, etc.
I would love to see that, and I actually admired that she was there playing that role. Yeah,
I think I was when I saw her first. I knew you'd be thrilled, and you so I'm glad for all of us that this is the case.
Same here, and like I said, Little Lieutenant Dan and other folks back as well.
Yeah,
how good was it to hear Norm Macdonald?
So
back there,
it was sweet and sad, and I hope we get to some extent some resolution about that character to the best of their ability. We know that tragedy strikes at any given time, but it was sweet to hear him, and it just made me happy to know how much everyone cares for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice that they put that banner up at the top of the show.
Yeah.
So the Pterodon goes out for a shakedown. You got Gordon Malloy, the Union's best pilot, can draw a penis on anything he wants.
Right. Correct.
Can, not may not, should not, but he has the ability to.
Yeah.
And they take this thing out, and it's Charlie Burke, who can think and visualize in 4 dimensions, against Gordon Malloy.
What does that mean?
Who's a Sierra Hotel pilot. Well, I think it means you can think in length, width, depth, and time as well.
Aha.
And space, of course, was the fifth dimension.
Ah.
I guess, according to an episode of Doctor Who called The Untimely Child, apparently. But so they get out there, and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to shake this thing down. They're going to go out, and they'll go kind of away from everybody and, find an empty spot where people aren't, like, literally working right there, and do this little war game thing. And I know why they did it, and I see why they did it. It was a really fun scene. I mean, it was just a fun scene. The music was fun. The scene was fun. The action was amazing. I mean, the shots that panned from, like, Gordon's cockpit, like, straight onto the bridge of the Orville, into Charlie's eyes were just amazingly well done. I mean, it was such a fun scene. So I just thought it was hilarious that they're doing this, like, literally in the parking lot where all the spaceships are hanging out.
It's insane. And it bothered me the first time I watched the episode, and it bothered me even more the second time of the episode. Now, that being said, we just released this past Wednesday, if you're listening in real time, the episode with Tom Constantino. You nailed him to it after the episode, and I was busy uploading the recordings, and all of a sudden I realized, they're talking about the thing that totally bothered me, is that they're completely risking the upgrades they're doing to the ship.
Yeah, and Kelly was like, don't scratch the paint.
It's so dumb. But anyway, Tom Constantino said that they fought like hell about
so
it.
This was something I talked to, honestly, with Seth at the post, the reception following the premiere, and I said we're going to have some fun with this scene. So the way it was originally drafted was those drones got kind of hit with just like a light beam or something along those lines, and just kind of deactivated. One they just kind of turned off, like, and then another one they just kind of disappeared. They like pixelated out of existence, like maybe they were holograms or something. And then the reaction was, no, man, we want explosions. So it was fun, and the explosions and the music was there. And here's the other thing: if they had done that scene like out, like in a sort of safe place, there would have been no scale. There would have been no sense of speed and those kind of things.
Unless you put it in front of a planet. That was the John Hughes argument, right? When they realized that you had to put the clouds
correctly, but not John Hughes, Howard Hughes.
Thank you. I tried so hard to sound smart. And I totally failed.
No, you did. That was the Hell's Angels, right? That's they had the clouds. They had to wait for a cloudy day. John Hughes. They had to put the high school. They had to put the city of Chicago in the backdrop so you could see how fast the Ferrari was going. Same thing.
Right. That's
same
right.
exact thing.
Same. Oh my God.
But yeah, so that's what they did. I thought it made it for a great scene, and it was a fun scene. But I am going to kind of point out that it was they probably would have done that in what we kind of call an MOA, a military operations area, where you can kind of hopefully not shoot down an airliner while you're doing it.
Very funny. Very funny to me.
So what do you think the modern day equivalent of a limo stick is? Like that was the sort of the post John Lamar and his Deculian lady. I was thinking like a cigarette, but people don't smoke anymore. Like, what do you guys do? Do you vape? Like, what do people do now? I mean, I'm not single, so I don't know.
So it's 100% rock candy is what it is. But it also looked like jelly rock candy because the actress, if it were me and I was that actress, I'm not wanting to suck. Okay. I was going to say on something hard, but it just looked it looked like a jelly lollipop of rock candy, and it looked okay. By the way, it looked like sort of tasty. I am sure you're right. It's like a cigarette. Yeah,
that's sort of the
implication
analogy. But do people? What about non-smokers? I guess you just kind of roll over and do it again. I guess I don't know.
That's right. There's just something else hard to suck on, perhaps.
Oh my God. Making me blush, Jessica. As always.
Sorry.
Moving right along, we got some good old fashioned submarine warfare. When the Orville went down into the atmosphere, that the planet in the Phi Core system, I guess it was some kind of gas giant or something like that.
Right.
But reminded me a little bit of Balance of Terror, a little bit of the Wrath of Khan, where they went into the Mutara Nebula.
Ooh.
And just kind of did that. Sensors didn't work, that kind of thing. And blew up their own shuttle 26
So we
torpedoes.
got relatively little about Bortus this episode, which
We
is
did.
fine because we've gotten so much Bortus. But again, he's like, Captain, should we? He's like, just do it. It's like, just listen to the captain. Put the whole, like, he basically, Ed Mercer commands Bortus to put torpedoes in one shuttle. And Bortus is like, but Captain. And
Tick-tock, Bortus.
Go do it.
Go
Bortus.
do it. Yeah, and I think that's there's always that exposition needed to kind of explain what the captain's thinking. Like, but why, Captain?
100,000%. I'm just mad at Bortus.
It's like,
is all.
just do it.
Exactly.
Like, you're going to ask Quet. You're going to question Ed on something like that, but you're going to listen to Clyden ever?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yes. Come on, man.
Come on, man. Were you getting Tron vibes when Charlie was working on Isaac?
When Charlie was working... I did not, because I've never seen Tron.
Shut up.
So, yeah, that's something that...
Okay.
Well, first of all, to be fair...
I'm not 100, so okay, keep going.
That's not true. That's not it. I don't watch a lot of movies.
Okay.
Movies are the biggest things. Like it's my biggest colander. My colander with the biggest holes is movies.
Right. Sure.
Are movies. So one of those things. Would I eventually want to see it? Absolutely. Do I care about it right now? Not necessarily.
Yeah, Tron Legacy, Tron Uprising.
Maybe one day.
All worth having in your pop culture bag of tricks, I think.
Knowledge,
repertoire.
Sure.
So yeah, we'll have to cover that on Mission Log Tron here after.
Love that.
After this is coming up.
I love that for us.
So we'll talk more, I think, about how Ed treats the crew and how the crew treat Eds when we transition to the next part of the show.
I think there's so much to talk about. I'm so glad we're back, and there's a great season ahead of us.
So good.
Mike, we're back at it.
All right, so we've come to the part of the show where we explore the big ideas in the episode Electric Sheep and discuss the meanings, morals, messages to see if they align with the Star Trek Roddenberry philosophy. So you were talking about Ed and his leadership style and folks questioning him back. You think he minds being questioned?
No, I don't think so. I think he also doesn't have a hard time making a decision.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I think we've talked about this before, something that we kind of touched on with Tom in our most recent supplemental. I personally try to do this when I'm fortunate enough to be in a leadership position, make decisions, take all the available information, make a decision, and then if you have survived, and you need to make an apology, acknowledge where your failures were. And I think we see Ed, even in a couple of ways, and admit not being perfect, not knowing exactly what to do, and I'm okay with that. I like that.
And you have that issue, discussion, options, action kind of model to make a decision, and I think that definitely gets followed in the Orville very, very well, and that trust, that confidence in your crew, you need to inspire confidence, right? As a captain, you need to be able to say, hey, go do it. And the crew needs to be able to say, hey, I don't have the big picture right now. Captain wants this done. He knows what's best, those kind of things. But that confidence comes from trust. And it comes from trust and loyalty over time. And it's built through honesty and empathy and vulnerability. And competence as well, right? By knowing your stuff.
Compensation tense.
Not compensatationness, but being competent, being a competent leader, not being wrong all the time, having things work so that folks trust you. And right off the bat, man, Ed's got this new, I think, fairly new crew member, because we do know that she was on another ship as recently as, Identity 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And she was willing to share her concerns with Ed, and Ed didn't come back with, I'm the captain and my word is law. He came back with, you know what? I probably shouldn't say this, but you're not wrong. A lot of people feel the same way you do. I thought this was the best road to take because the benefits outweighed the risks.
Right.
That's where I am right now. So he is trying to bring her along and not, is trying to lead her along and not force her along in her change of heart or change of attitude. So, I really like the that exercise in leadership, as well as a few others demonstrated by Ed Mercer in this episode.
Yeah, I think that's someone that I would respect working for. And in our interview with Seth MacFarlane, I think personally, I could see the Ed Mercer that he's written reflecting how Seth MacFarlane runs his metaphorical TV show ship. And it's indicative in the way that people talk about him. They don't talk about him in a fear way, like, oh, this guy's going to fire me if I don't talk about, everyone doesn't have to say nice things about this guy. And he didn't have to be as amenable to us as he was. And again, he's just a human. We're humans. But he's also a leader. And him learning to trust the people that he's hired to do their job and well, and then take direction and critiquing well. Right. It's indicative in a great show, and it's indicative in a good ship. That's what it's run.
So it was definitely indicative when we spoke to Seth. Even more so was the opinion of the people, in addition to Seth, that we had on the show, because all three, David, Andre, and Tom, all mentioned
talked a lot of crap about him.
What a great leader he is, how smart he is, how much they love working for him. So that to me is the true reflection of if somebody's leadership is effective or not.
And I loved what Tom had to say too, is that you're not going to see everyone at their best,
Yeah.
And that actually gave me like a sigh of relief. I don't need to show up and be 100% a perfect person, but if your actions ultimately at the end of the day end up in a sum total of positive and gonna have your back and like gonna stand up for you, which is not always the case, hardly ever in Hollywood, you stick around with those people. And you have been marveling at the fact that they took 3 years to get this show on the ground. That being said, there weren't a lot of other opportunities for people to jump to a new show or new production during COVID. So it's not like a lot of people went, oh, I booked this other job, or, because there weren't a lot of things in production easily. But people wanted to make this season happen. And it's really cool. It's just really cool. There's a lot to love.
It definitely did, but that passion is there, and I think that passion comes from many ways from the top down,
right?
On the show and on the show, if you will.
Oh,
on the show and in the show, if you will.
There you go. There you go.
So the fear and hatred, anxiety, whatever that Marcus and Charlie both had. I know we couldn't sit down and have a conversation with every crew member on the Orville. You think that was most, half, some? All?
What?
The hatred and fear and anxiety of having Isaac back on the ship.
I can't speak to that. I think I was surprised that Gordon had that feeling.
I was surprised at that, yeah.
I'm not surprised that they ultimately chose that, because Charlie Burke's probably going to be a love interest for him, potentially. I still think that's... I don't know that there was a lot of chemistry there, but obviously, women aren't on shows just so they can have love interests, but we really do want to see Gordon have a love interest based off of how sweet he was in Lasting Impressions. But I guess I was just a little sad that Gordon didn't go, you know what? I think I have enough experience with this being to know better. But I do have to say I love that John was like, no, I'm on. He had Isaac's back.
Right.
For as much as one proverbially can, for someone that wasn't perfect.
Yeah, so John definitely was there. And like you, I was surprised that Gordon not necessarily was leery of Isaac, but that he didn't back Ed more. He did say, it's the captain's decision. There's nothing else I could do. But he should have been like, look, Ed knows what he's doing.
That's fair. But also commiserating is an element of being in a workplace, especially when that workplace is also your live place. So it's also good to world build in that way, to be like, yeah, you know what, this isn't great. I'm sure a lot of people aren't thrilled about Isaac being there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say it's half. I can't say it's 3/4. It's hard to say, but I think this segues very nicely into something else that you want to talk about and that I really want to talk about, which it's very hard to hate from Close Up.
Yeah, it is.
That's
it's hard
a beautiful sentiment from
You've got somebody right there. Beautiful
Dr.
comment.
Finn.
Yep.
One of the things that's hardest, we're taught that conflict isn't good, maybe, right? And we're starting to learn that conflict can be okay if the goal is to learn about the other person and resolve ultimately. But even in groups that I've been in with people that I love, relationships that are close family, if conflict is handled in the right way, or if misunderstandings are handled in the right way, eventually you can bridge understanding that truly can help you love somebody better and care for them. Or even go, I see your point of view, I'm going to still walk away, but with respect. You know, just because you two don't see it, as a person doesn't see eye to eye with another person, doesn't mean there can't be coexistence. But that person, both parties have to agree to that, right? Oh, look at that word I used. I didn't do it on purpose.
It's imperative. I mean, it's more than okay. It's imperative. If you just, force yourself to be with or find yourself with people that have the same opinion that you have, then you're in an echo chamber, and your opinions just become more and more solidified and more validated without without more and more proof, and without more and more careful examination. So yes, please, seek out those who think differently than you do, who have different opinions, and talk to them, not at them. Talk to them to discuss those things. And you may learn a little something, and they may learn a little something, but hopefully you can learn a little understanding, and learn a little less hate between the two, because as Claire said, it is hard to hate up close.
And it's not the only element of misunderstandings. And, Tom Costantino said it great, too. He's not trying to be, Pollyanna and be like, let's just talk about it. But it is one of the things that can lead to better understanding. I think, what do you think? Do you think Dr. Finn is still in love with Isaac?
I think that she could be.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things that if if a tree gets knocked down, sometimes another tree kind of grows in its place out of the same roots, to kind of stick with the same root and plant analogy that Ed used in the eulogy. And but it's going to take time to grow. It's going to take time to develop, and it's
trust.
There's a possibility that it won't thrive, but in time it might. But it's going to take time.
And how do you, I think also too, something you made sure to point out in the recap, that we projected, in a sense, to summarize it crudely, we project a lot of what we're experiencing on Isaac, and so he experienced as much or as little as we assumed him to experience. Right. What do you think? He was committing suicide, or do you think he was doing the most efficient thing for what he considered to be the most, did he consider that the most efficient thing, and there wasn't emotion behind it?
I think suicide is a tragedy, and I think it is unbelievably sad when somebody thinks it's their only option that they have left, and they think that it won't get better someday. And regardless of the reasoning that somebody uses to justify it before they make that decision, the reason is sort of secondary to the fact that the person is in that much pain or sees so few options for their future. So did he feel? I don't know. I think he saw very few options for his future at that point. He couldn't go back home. He felt like he was doing harm to the folks on the Orville by being there, and sort of felt like he had no other options. And that's the real tragedy of where Isaac's decision came from, in my mind.
Yeah, and Claire eventually began to speak his language about his data he didn't have enough data, and I think that was a really logical way to maybe help someone else that's struggling with these things. You don't have the data to know that eventually it potentially is going to be okay. And then there's the other issue when a human is depressed. The reality that you see is not the actual reality. And it's really hard to believe that there's going to be something better beyond the situation that you're experiencing. And it's hard to believe that sometimes suicide isn't the only option. It isn't the option, but your brain is really doing a number on you to tell you otherwise. It's very unfortunate.
And there are folks, and this was in the conversation that Charlie had with Marcus in the mess hall after she refused for the, I'll say for the final time, to help when Ed ordered her to go to engineering and assist Lamar. And that was essentially that Marcus was trying to explain why Isaac killed himself and was blaming himself as the reason, as the explanation. And, I've got, friends and loved ones that have died by suicide. And there is that tendency to explain why or try to explain why. And it's an act that defies explanation, I think, from the outside, because it doesn't make sense. The pain is real. The desperation is real, but the option is flawed.
And so, again, we would share, if you or anyone that is having these kind of thoughts, there are several different resources out there for you to take up, and you are not any less than by needing to seek help, and it only makes you stronger by being able to do so. I think you were so right to say that we see BJ, aka Dr. Finn's son, eldest son, Marcus, look at a newly revived Isaac to go, I'm not ready yet, but I may be eventually. But that's the first step for him.
And with not a word spoken, you could see a little bit, you could see anxiety, you could see relief, you could see hopefulness, and you could see it's just not the time yet. All portrayed by a young man acting without the option of even using a word in that scene.
Well, and this is something that Seth gave us, the heads up on this season, with the added benefit of being on a streaming site with the amount of time that they want in order to make an episode. We get to see amazing moments like that. See BJ looking after him. We get to see Penny Gerald Johnson, taking a second and just walking around the table that they had their first date at. I was really expecting, after she finds Ty in the simulator, talking to Isaac and trying to, because he missed him, that she was also going to make Isaac come back too. But she really was just trying to sit with her grief. She literally was sitting with her grief.
She did what she and Kelly talked about, which is revisit the places that, made her happy with Isaac.
Yeah.
But that moment, the chance to breathe, Isaac looking out into space.
Yep.
Probably no good way to say this, but do you remember the episode where, and I think this may have been Into the Fold, or it might have been before that, when there was a budding relationship between Isaac and Claire, and they were going to work together, and Isaac noticed that she got hangry in the afternoon.
Yes.
So he brought her a banana.
Right.
And she was just sort of reflecting upon that.
She had a banana.
Yeah, she did. And did not look like she feared the banana. So that
no,
was,
she
that
did
was
not.
Good. She did not. She no longer needed to fear the banana. So I guess we can sort of move along into this very, very difficult episode to watch. In the fact,
but
of just the emotion.
They handled it really well.
Yeah,
though,
as far as the emotional impact, it definitely was, a gut punch on so many levels. And by the way, the music was mixed in perfectly on the show.
Gorgeous.
So just gorgeous. But as far as, meanings, morals, messages, one, I think this was the kind of episode that you could do because of the character development that's been done the last several years, and because we care so deeply about these folks. And we can get into an episode that isn't a 400 year in the future issue. It's a right here, right now issue. And please, 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 if there's anybody out there, if you know of anybody that's depressed and is thinking these thoughts, please go to your loved ones, go to your friends, go to a preacher, go to a clergyman, go to a family member, a loved one, a teacher, a spouse, a sibling, anybody you have, anybody, and let them know, because you're too valuable, you're too important to think that you don't have any better options, because you do. I mean, things can get better. And I thought Primal Urges was a pretty, socially appropriate episode when we covered that, and this is just so much deeper. If you feel like things, as far as messages, morals, and meanings go, if you feel like things won't get better, they might. You have to give them a chance to, though. You have to be there.
They more than likely will. But it does feel sometimes insurmountable, and that's tough. It's really tough.
If you're grieving the death of a loved one to suicide, there's some information that I got from the Mayo Clinic's website having to do with grief following suicide. This is very appropriate to me because a coworker died by suicide recently in the last several weeks. And
I'm so sorry, Mike.
Thank you. And their family did not want any. They just wanted a small private ceremony, and I understand that that's their way to grieve. I fear that
it was hard for you.
I fear that it was. They feel that way because there is some lack of knowing how to interact with other people following a death by suicide of a loved one. That somehow is different and less. Their life should be celebrated less because of that. I honestly don't know, but there is the death of somebody when they die by suicide is often treated differently than somebody who dies from a different cause. When a loved one dies by suicide, it can be emotionally devastating. There's coping tendencies. Again, these are I got from the Mayo Clinic's website. Seeking support to begin the journey of healing and acceptance. When a loved one does die by suicide, emotions can be overwhelming. Your grief might be heart-wrenching. At the same time, you might be consumed by guilt, wondering if you could have done something to prevent your loved one's death. Brace for powerful emotions such as shock, anger, guilt, despair, confusion, and feelings of rejection. You might wonder why your relationship wasn't enough to keep your loved one from dying. You might continue to experience intense reactions during the weeks and months after your loved one's suicide, including nightmares, flashbacks, difficulty concentrating, social withdrawal, and loss of interest in your usual activities. Know when to seek professional help. If you experience intense or unrelenting anguish or physical problems, ask your doctor or mental health provider for help. Seeking professional help is especially important if you think you might be depressed or have recurring thoughts of suicide.
Mike, thank you so much for always being so thoughtful and not apropos, but eloquent. And couldn't feel more grateful to share this time with you. And I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry for anyone else that's going through this. I think this episode is indicative of a very heavy, awesome, in-depth season. And I hope we get 17 more, because this is an excellent show that's doing, important work.
And to use this platform to touch people and try to bring us together to, dare I say, coexist or understand other people a little bit better is just, after getting a chance the last few weeks to meet the folks behind the show, it is amazing work that they're doing, and they're passionate about it.
Amazing.
The Mission Log the Orville is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production by Earl Green. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcasts.roddenberry.com.
Join us next time as Mission Log the Orville discusses Shadow Realms. This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.